why do I do that? Well, because when you substitute a load, you want to test the wiring, if it's intact, what kind of current capability that wiring has. So, you substitute a load. A test light, for instance. Now there's many homemade test lights. At work I have a big headlight that draws about 4.5 amps. That's for when I'm testing, bigger circuit. I've seen some guys an old horn, take an old horn out and a connector and make their own. And if the horn blows, the circuit is good. That's another way to do it. I do not recommend LED test lights for most automotive, truck, heavy equipment, electrical troubleshooting. Why? Because most of your circuits are a higher amperage. You're testing a headlight circuit. A test light that only draws 20 milliamps, 15 milliamps, even less than that, or even, you don't want that, because that can fool you. It can fool you because, well, it lights that LED bulb. Well, it does. But the LED bulb doesn't take much current, doesn't take much voltage to turn on that LED bulb. So you got to be careful what you test, how you test it. Now for circuit boards that are low current capability, yeah, maybe a LED test light would be the right thing to use. But I've gotten bitten actually by test light. I was testing a backup lamp switch on an old, well, it wasn't too old, but 97, 98 International 9000 series. And the backup lamp switch was on top of the transmission. So the problem was, I was doing an inspection, I turn on the key, have it in reverse, I walk out, the backup alarm worked. You could hear it. Now, I come back to the back end of the tractor and the backup light was an LED backup lamp. And it was flickering. But the alarm worked. Well, I knew that wasn't good, whatever it was. So I unplugged the connector at the bulb itself, it's not necessarily a replaceable bulb, you replace the whole light assembly because it's an LED and there's many LEDs in the assembly. Anyway, pull the connector off and I tested it with the test light there. Now the minute I hit it with when I connected my test light, the backup alarm stopped working. I thought, well, that's kind of odd. Then I took my test light off. Backup alarm continued to work. Every time I would touch it with the terminal with the test light, it would quit working. That's odd. Okay. So I went back up into the cab. I'm laying there on the ground, on the floor of the tractor. I had the shifter off, the rubber boot, shift boot on the inside of the tractor off, and I got my arm down there because the transmission's right there, and I unplugged the connector, and I'm testing. I'm testing at the connector. I even tested with the connector plugged in, and my light turned on. Well, the backup lamp switch was just starting to crap out. Okay, so I thought, well, my test light lights everything should be okay. I was almost ready to run a brand new wire from the backup lamp all the way up to the transmission, because the way the wire harness runs, it would be quicker to do it that way, and that was the only problem I had. Plus, it was a bodybuilder harness, so it was kind of hard to disassemble, because it's like this type of coating, and there's like 7 wires wrapped up into this coating, so you have to cut through the coating, the wire insulation, without hitting one or any of the 7 wires and break them up. Well, usually that doesn't happen. Usually you cut them open. So usually either you run a whole new bodybuilder harness or you make your own new harness. Generally. There's other ways to repair them, but that's nor here nor there. Well, one of the old guys, I was talking to one of the old guys, and he said, well, I looked at it this morning, and you need a new backup lamp switch. I said, really? I thought everything was okay. I was kind of confused. I thought something was rubbing in the wiring or something. He said, you need to get a new test light. He said, throw that LED thing in the garbage. He said, you don't work on circuit boards. You have no use for one. Well, I did the same test with an incandescent light. My results were completely different. And if I would have done my testing with the incandescent test light, I would have found my problem immediately. So, hopefully that helps some of you mechanics. I strongly recommend a incandescent test light. And you know what? I recommend this one. This Lyle one. You can buy. Very inexpensive. Works very well. And not only that, but I also recommend you getting a bulb for it, that draws a higher amperage. That's going to help you a lot. And another thing with these test lights, especially these higher amperage bulbs, if you have a wire that's corroded or a poor connection or something, your light will be dim, okay? And you can see it. Your light will be dim. But if it's good, it'll be nice and bright. And if it's nice and bright, you know your wiring is intact. I'm not knocking the power probe at all. It does have a time and a place. But you can't beat the old test light. I don't think any tool will. I mean, there's different types and styles of test lights. You could use a horn, you could use other things, but the substituted load is a great way to troubleshoot your electronic testing. I hope that helped.